Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and now let's talk My Hero Academia. This is going to be a quick follow-up video for the chapter that came out this week, the end of the Eri rescue operation. This video is going to revolve around Izuku, Eri, and what Eri might have done to Izuku. And before we get into the video, I do want to just say thank you to the lovely commenters who pointed this out in the video. Vlak, I know there's one other person that pointed it out, but thanks for pointing it out. And we're going to be talking about this. Now, Vlak provided an image. I am not sure who initially created the image, but the image gives us the general premise, that being that Izuku's scars from the muscular fight are gone. And so, for the first half of the video, we're going to be looking at, is this actually true? Can we get enough evidence to support this claim? Because the initial image gives us this as the premise. We have the image of Izuku's initial damage from after the muscular fight. And then we have a few other images that show us some of Izuku's damage. And the ones that were presented in the picture are the ones here. As we can see, we have a little bit of damage right above Izuku's elbow. And we can see in a few other shots. And then when we look at the actual image of Izuku on the ground with Eri, we can see that something is missing, or it might be missing. Now, I went into this because I am hoping that this is actually true. But as I went looking in for other pictures to try and reinforce this, it wasn't looking so good. And that's because there's not many images of Izuku showing off that particular part of his arm. And even the ones that do, don't make a very strong case for it. Now, the most important aspect of the scar that we're going to have to be focusing on is this spot of the scar right here, the one that's right on the top of his arm. Then when we look at other images, the ones that we're going to be sourcing from, the ones that we have a really good shot of Izuku's arms a lot of times, is actually from the Izuku Bakugo fight. So I very quickly went through and I looked through those images. There were a lot of shots of Izuku's arm. The problem with the Izuku Bakugo fight, however, is that Izuku was wearing an arm brace, which is a really nice detail from the author because Izuku had sustained so much damage there that him needing extra support makes sense. But when you look at the arm brace and any image from the Izuku Bakugo fight, it might be that the arm brace is obscuring it, but we have some really clear shots of that arm in this image, and we don't see the scars that we see in the initial Izuku damage. So it becomes a bit of an issue of whether or not the arm brace is actually hiding the scars, but that seems to be the general conclusion when you look across all of the Izuku Bakugo fight scenes. You just will not see the elongated scar that we need to be there for this to be true. So I went around looking in the manga again. There has to be another shot of Izuku that's after the scenes that were already given in that little test image. And thankfully, there was one more occasion where there was something happening. However, it is so small that whether or not you want to accept this as true, it'll depend. It's this image from the Miro fight when he was fighting off against all of Class 1A. If you look at Izuku's arm, you can see a slightly small scratch mark. That's it. So that's the only other image I could find that could give us some kind of clue here. And so when we look back at the Izuku image that we have been given, they're too non-conclusive to actually be able to tell us whether or not this is something that's happening, whether or not Izuku has actually lost those scars. Because if we take into account the Bakugo fight and the possibility that maybe the armband isn't the only thing that's covering up the scars, and maybe it's just a possibility that the author forgot to draw them, there could be the possibility that's happening here in this image, that the author forgot to draw in the scar when Izuku's hugging Eri. Kind of hard to tell. Another little thing just to point out very quickly, because someone else pointed this out in comments, Eri's horn seems to have grown back too, but that's a non-issue. Anyway, now we're going to move into the next part of this discussion, but I'm going to say, I personally do not like putting all my eggs in one basket. You know, I do not like saying that this is fact. Really, we're only going to know if this is fact when we actually get the hospital scene. And ideal scenario, the doctors tell us that Izuku's ligaments are back to normal. Because as we remember, one of the big things going into Izuku's injuries was the focus on the damage to Izuku's ligaments. So, what we're going to do, we're going to put all the eggs in one basket just for the sake of this video. We're going to pretend we're in a fantasy world. We're going to make the assumption that this is true. And then we're going to talk about what kind of comes out of it. And this leads into the video's title, that Eri is Izuku's savior. If this is true, if Eri actually managed to revert some of the damage that Izuku took back during the muscular fight, what Eri's effectively done for Izuku is that she's given him a second chance. And this is absolutely important because when you look at the grand scheme of things, Izuku ultimately got himself to a point where if he destroyed himself again, he would be pretty much unable to pursue anything that involved the use of his arms. Like the good doctor says, he would be paralyzed. He got himself to that point within 1 year of attending UA. He hasn't even started his hero career and he's already knocking on the door of paralysis. So the thing is that when you look at Izuku's role as the hero of the story and you look at Izuku's role as the successor of All Might, Izuku is effectively set up to always be put in extremely dangerous situations against foes who are extremely capable of hurting him. It's pretty much the case of power attracts power. And with Izuku's scenario, we see this always being something that pops up. He had the muscular fight where he was fighting someone who could match him to some degree, and then we had Chizaki, who turned out to be a gigantic threat that no one could have really have perceived once he started using his quirk in some really creative ways. Because Izuku is the main character, because in story he has so much significance being placed on him, and because he has so many people gunning for his head, the idea that Izuku is again going to be in a situation where he needs to be able to pull out all the stops, that idea isn't that far-fetched. Like, we know Izuku created Full Cowl as a way for him to train up, to get his body used to using One for All. The problem with Full Cowl, however, is that at the end of the day, it is just a training device. Can Izuku afford to be training in life and death situations? With the Eri situation versus Shizaki, Izuku was given a way out, but at the end of the day, he had to rely on his full strength. Just having a training device during a life and death situation, it just doesn't work for Izuku. Izuku is most likely going to be put again in a situation where he needs to have the freedom to break his arms, because it's just an issue of how quickly can Izuku get to the point that he doesn't need to break his arms anymore. It's not going to happen that quickly. But his rate of getting caught up with villains is exceedingly high. It's higher than his rate of him learning. So because of that, every time that Izuku is going on a professional hero mission, or anytime that Izuku is getting involved with the villains, just by the pure thematics of what is going on, Izuku's training device, which is Full Cowl, just does not work during a professional situation, a life and death situation. So with Eri, what she ultimately does by doing this is that Eri ends up being more of a savior for Izuku. It's only because of Eri that Izuku was able to save Eri, because Chizaki was too much of a threat. Izuku Full Cowl could not do it. He needed 100% of his stockpile to be able to take out Chizaki. When you look at the amount of times that Izuku's already destroyed his arms, Eri has pretty much given him a nice reset switch that he can afford to break his arms a few more times without going into the full you're going to be paralyzed. What Eri's done is that she's bought time for Izuku to be able to get One for All under control, to be able to exert 100% without destroying himself. And that is really the most valuable thing that anyone could ever give Izuku, more time, because that is the one thing that Izuku doesn't have enough of. It is a race against the clock to see whether or not Izuku's training device is going to be able to get him to a point where he can fight in life and death situations without having to risk his own well-being. And that is reinforced in the story every time Izuku talks about not being able to reach people. Every time that Izuku talks about he wishes he did things a little bit differently so that he would still have some part of his body that he can move. This is a theme that is going in with Izuku, and I think it's really cool how this little girl, who was the person that needed to be rescued, at the end of the day is pivotal to her own rescue and just pretty much gave her rescuer a really great gift. I think that's amazing, and it does contradict what Chizaki said about Eri in general, that she is just an omen of disaster pretty much, that she is unwanted. At the end of the day, her little quirk, even though it went out of control, gave Izuku something irreplaceable. And so from now on with My Hero Academia, if this is true, we're pretty much seeing just a situation where Izuku could probably afford to go as hard as he did with the muscular fight. And now since Full Cowl is like getting his body a little bit more ready, Izuku has a bit more life in his arms that he can afford to sacrifice them if he has to a few more times without the threat of the paralysis popping up. Of course, if Izuku goes and blows it all in one go, then screw it. Izuku, you should have been smarter. But at that point, it's the fault of the character. And yeah, overall, I just like it. I like where it went, and I really hope this is what's going to happen with the actual story. I hope that when we're at the hospital, we're going to find out that Izuku's limbs have recovered to some degree. And who knows, maybe this could be the first step for Eri. Maybe she sees what she did here for Izuku and she wants to think like, yeah, I want to be someone that helps people. Can you imagine Eri as the new nurse of UA? I would be totally into that, man. That would be great. I know I mentioned it in like one of the videos before, but like if she does this, if she sees what she ultimately did for Izuku and Izuku gives her the proper thanks for it, I think that will be more than enough to give a little girl hope that she can actually be something more than the disaster that Chizaki envisioned her as. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought down below, and let me know what you think about the whole scar issue. I've presented a lot of images in the video. You guys can make your own conclusions. Tell me if you think the scars should extend past the armband that Izuku has, or let me know if you think the scars are probably within the armband. There's a lot of images you guys can go through on the video, but yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.